Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast, hosted by Craig Phillips and Jeff Torrey. Visit us at fantasyfootballprophet.com. And now your hosts, Craig and Jeff.
Welcome everyone to the Fantasy Football Prophet podcast. I'm Craig Phillips, joined as always by Jeff Torrey, and it's late Thursday night yet. Game just ended, Houston, Miami. So as we do every Thursday, we'll talk about the game a little bit here. So for a while there, it didn't seem like much was going to happen. The first half was kind of, I don't know, a little on the boring side for me, but they really picked it up. Deshaun Watson looked really good, and kind of the Deshaun Watson of last year again.
Yeah, it was finally. It was about time that Deshaun Watson really exploded back onto the scene. He wasn't doing poorly by any means. Fantasy-wise, he was doing pretty well still. But, you know, what everyone drafted him for was this big playability, throwing it down the field to these two very highly skilled wide receivers. And finally today, we got to see it. And, I mean, pretty much everyone on offense looked like they were doing whatever they wanted to, the Miami defense. But, you know, so it was kind of fun to watch, especially after that first quarter.
Yeah, I mean, everyone for Houston, you got Watson with a big game. Lamar Miller with 133 yards and a touchdown, which he's been good now 2 weeks in a row. Hopkins, 82 and two touchdowns. And then Fuller, 124 and a touchdown. But the knee injury there. So little worrisome looking. Don't really know. He was declared out right away after it happened, which is never a great sign when they don't even give you a questionable tag right after an injury. So I guess we'll just wait and see with Fuller.
Yeah, I mean, that is always the mark against him, isn't it? He's just kind of injury prone. So I'm hoping that his knee is fine, because obviously I have him in a few teams.
It's hard to say. We'll wait and see,
yeah,
but
we'll find out.
Because he's been good. He really has. So yeah, 124 yards and a touchdown there. I mean, Hopkins is just so good. The one ridiculous catch he had didn't even count.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I get it. I saw the push off, but yeah. You're rooting for him because he makes a one-handed catch and then like passes it to himself under his leg. And it really was. I mean, just ridiculous. The guy is just unbelievably talented. And then Jordan Thomas, who comes out of nowhere and scores 2 touchdowns on 4 catches for 29 yards.
I mean, there wasn't much like with the game Watson had fantasy-wise was terrific. Well, it was like 41 points, I think, in standard, and like with 6-point touchdowns, which is standard to me. But he only completed 16 passes.
Yeah, it was crazy to think 5 touchdowns, and he only had 239 yards.
Right,
16 for 20, more touchdowns than incompletions. It was a very efficient day. Not something you can count on. Usually, when you have 5 touchdowns, you've tossed the ball around 40 times.
But yeah, that's 5 straight wins for him. And I don't know, the Lamar. Okay, we know Hopkins is good. If Fuller isn't injured terribly, he's good. I'm a little worried about it. And Watson should be good. But Lamar Miller, should we expect this? I don't really know here. He hadn't been good for most of the year, but he's done this over his career. He shows he has these games where he looks like all of a sudden he's a player, and just kind of you start to buy into him a little bit, and then he will do nothing again. I don't know. Maybe he just feels the fact that maybe Foreman's coming back here and wanted to make sure he locks up the job. I don't know. Just don't know if I can trust it.
Yeah, I have a hard time buying into it fully. I mean, what I've seen the last 2 weeks has been very impressive. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I mean, how many times can we see this from Lamar Miller, and then how many games will he just completely disappear from? I think, where people usually have him slotted, which is a kind of a back-end running back too, I think that's kind of what you have to go for, because I think he will disappear and he will have these big games, and you can't count on him, but he's nice to have.
Yeah, I mean, with the way the running backs are right now, he probably is, he'd probably be a running back too on some of my teams, the way it's going right now. Definitely a flex, I think, but I don't know how it's going to play out. But he ends up with 19.3 tonight, so solid. What did he do last week here?
He had
the numbers
against Jacksonville.
22.
Yeah,
he had 100 and a touchdown too last week. So, yeah, that's we'll see if it continues. It's interesting though. Maybe he'll do something here. But how about the Miami side? And Kenyon Drake gets 2 touchdowns. Yardage really wasn't there. I mean, it was still fine. Like 12 for 58 it's a decent, yards per carry, but he got the same amount of carries as Gore. That's continued to be the case. But hey, 2 touchdowns today. 1 receiving, 1 rushing. Gets you a pretty good game if you're playing him. 2 weeks in a row now he's gotten into the end zone. So, I don't know, Kenyon Drake is all of a sudden, maybe you can play him and not feel as terrible as you did the first few weeks.
Yeah, it's starting to come alive. I mean, obviously I would like to see him get a few more touches than Gore, because really Gore pretty much did the same thing with the touches he got. I think Drake looked a little bit better, but for the most part, I mean, 12 for 58 and a touchdown compared to 12 for 53 and obviously no touchdown. But yeah, and really, even with the passing, really 1 deep pass that was on a trick play. So once again, I think Drake looks good, but I don't really like this offense, and I think it's hard to count on him because, it's great that he got in the end zone. But, without that big trick play, his night looks very different, very usable still, but obviously not, not special, which at the end of the day it looked like. And once again, my favorite quarterback, Danny Amendola, dishing out that touchdown to him.
Yeah, right. That was not too bad of a play. But, okay, how about Devontae Parker? You've been so dismissive of him every week, Jeff.
Dude, I just talked about how I hated this guy, and this is exactly why. I mean, he comes out and he looks freaking great. And, God. And his number is a little bit skewed. I mean, not a ton, but it should be more like 5 catches for 100 yards instead of 6 for 134 because of a crazy catch he had that bounced off of someone. But, God, he looked really good. And he had 9 targets. I mean, Osweiler kind of reverted back to what we're used to seeing from him. If he was on a different offense, maybe I'd be a little less dismissive because Parker's never been able to put it together. I don't know. Maybe he finally did. Maybe he got off injury and now he kind of has figured it out. What do you think about him?
I think he's good. There's a reason I picked him up in our league.
What do you see for the rest of the year, though? Is this a wait and see thing for you, or do you actually think? It's a wait and see. Okay, so it's kind of a flyer.
Yeah, I mean that's why I picked him up. I picked him up because maybe the guy's healthy. We've always thought he has talent. Maybe, just maybe, they would use him a little bit. And it's still a flyer. It's 1 game. But like you said, it's 6 for 134, but it's really 5 catches, for maybe 100, which is still good.
Yeah, it's still very good.
It's still only 5 catches, and I need to see something more. But I think he's a pickup. He needs to, I believe, be picked up in most leagues right now, just for the possibility that, he should be the number 1 receiver on that team.
Oh, geez.
He really should.
Yeah, he really. There's no doubt. Oh my gosh! But even I was dismissive, and he shouldn't have had that 1 catch. But at the same time, we did watch him beat a cornerback deep, and then Osweiler just overthrow him. So he did, like, when he was running his routes, he was getting separation. He was making very good catches. It was hard not to be impressed by him. Just, eyeball test.
So I'm just checking out Twitter right now, and I found Pro Football Doc on Twitter, and he thinks it could be an ACL tear for Will Fuller.
Oh, that would blow.
Yep, and actually I had posted an article it's the San Diego Union Tribune already. It says Fuller suffers likely ACL tear. He's just basing it off the video, but this is, what he does typically. He looks at this stuff and it says looks like a classic non-contact ACL tear.
Yeah. So, that'd be my worst nightmare. I do have Kiki QT in a lot of these, but he's been banged up as well. And he's no Will Fuller, let's be honest. Like, I like him, but Will Fuller was really putting together really strong games this year.
Yeah, so that's the fear right there. I guess we'll see. But, just could be another in the long line of injuries for Will Fuller. Disappointing. It's just, he's been looking really good. I feel bad for guys like that just can't stay healthy. No fault of their own. Non-contact ACL injury, what are you going to do? Just rough.
Yeah.
rough to be an NFL player.
It is. And, I mean, obviously that would hurt Deshaun Watson as well, which I don't like to see because I do want to see this guy do well. Once again, selfish reasons, I do have him in one of my leagues, but at the same time, it's a whole lot of fun to see him when he's playing like this, and it's fun to actually watch this team win finally, because all the injuries they've had between especially J.J. Watt, Will Fuller, Deshaun Watson, even Clowney was out for a little bit. You go down the list and their defense is pummeled too in the secondary. It'd be nice to actually see what they can do, because I feel like they put together a really good team, and we were just about to start seeing it.
Yep, and looks like it. Well, maybe we'll see. It's just one guy on Twitter. Who knows? We'll see if it's true or not. But
so in that case, does that hype anyone up in your mind? If Will Fuller did sustain a season-ending injury,
I guess QT's gonna be up there. I mean, if he's healthy, because he wasn't healthy right now either. So he's gonna have to be, as long as he's healthy. He'll jump up. Because I don't see how he doesn't just go into that role, that Fuller's been in. But yeah, he has a hamstring injury right now, though. So
yep,
and you know how those can linger. So there's no guarantee. If it's not him, I don't know who it is. I really don't. Maybe it's just Hopkins just doubles his targets. That's the way to play it. He's that good. He could probably handle it.
Yeah, I would not be surprised. Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year, too. I mean, it didn't even matter when Deshaun Watson went out. Hopkins still got his numbers. He is just that good of a wide receiver.
Yep. All right. I think that'll do it for Thursday night reaction. We'll be back Sunday night with reaction to all the Week 8 games. We'll talk to you guys then.